Okay, this is how you guys are going to fill out this argumentative outline template. So the first thing you guys need to do is put your claim in argument. So that's basically restating and answering the question. So if the question is, who tried to kill Mr. Henry?
Attention teachers and students. We are.
You would restate that question. So basically what you guys are doing is claiming something, which means you're stating it as fact. So you would say something like, blank and blank tried to kill Mr. Henry. That is the claim. If you want to take it one step further and write the thesis already, you guys can put because and then put reason 1, reason 2, and reason 3, like this. So then you're going to come down here. Here are some helpful hints for you guys as you're going through and doing this. So make sure you're adhering to these. Then you're going to come down here to the body paragraphs. So each body paragraph is responsible for one of the main reasons that you came up with. So the first thing you're going to do in each body paragraph is you're going to actually use the thesis or use the claim, and you're going to copy and paste it down into where it says like reason 1 right here, reason 2, and then reason 3. In each body paragraph, in the first sentence, you guys need to actually restate the claim and give your reason that you're going to focus on in that actual paragraph itself. So for this, I would say blank and blank tried to kill Mr. Henry because, and then I would leave reason 1. If you didn't include your reasons above, then just make sure you put because and then leave a reason. The second thing you're going to do is then wherever you got that reason, go into your mystery logs or interrogation videos and copy and paste the evidence that tells you that that is a reason. So that is fact. So you're going to put that here. This needs to be copied and pasted and because it's a quote. So then you also need to make sure you put those quotation marks in it. So once you have the reason and you have the evidence, then you need to explain the evidence. So remember to explain as much as possible so that they really get a sense of what you guys are trying to say or argue for, so that they can kind of see where you're coming from. So the first sentence needs to say like this evidence shows, so I even gave you guys that sentence starter, and it needs to show like, or it needs to be over what that evidence actually means in your own words. So you're paraphrasing that quote. And then the very last sentence that you guys have in each body paragraph should bring it back to your claim and the reason that you're arguing for. So what I mean by this is you need to say something like this proves or this shows, and then you can actually copy and paste what you already have up here, your claim because your reason, right down here into this sentence. After you guys have your topic sentence or the reason, the claim because your reason, and you have the evidence that goes with that reason, and then you've also explained it, the rest is really just filling in the blanks to make it easier and on the reader and not writer. So the first one is you come up with a transition word or phrase. Click on that link and it gives you a lot of different choices. And so for the first body paragraph, I put something like in the first place. You could also do to start with, or first, or to begin. Any of those, because that lets the reader know that they're about to read about the first thing, or they're starting the argument or the evidence that goes with the argument. Then the second thing down here is to introduce evidence. So you also need to be a nice writer in the fact that you need to tell your reader where you got the information. So you're going to click on this link and you're going to pick one of them. So let's say I said the author wrote. So I could copy and paste that into this box right here. But instead of putting the author, I'm going to put the name of the author. So maybe I say Mr. Bringle wrote, or Mr. Bringle said, if that was where my evidence went, comma, and then I have the quote that goes with that. That's how you write a body paragraph. You need to do this for each of the 3 body paragraphs. So it's going to look the same, it's just going to have different information. So, like, the transition word or phrase is not going to be the same each time because we're not starting something if it's the second body paragraph. So then you would go to the transition word or phrase and find something that means, like, that you're moving on, like furthermore or also, something like that. Then you copy and paste your claim because reason 2 down here. You include your evidence that should go directly with that reason 2, and then you explain that evidence, and then you introduce the evidence, just like we did up here. So maybe it's from a different source this time, so you could say, like, according to Miss Mikuleski's interrogation video, something like that. So I use the title of what it was. So you go on from there. Same thing with the third one. You do the same thing, you do use just different information for the third reason. The intro paragraph is down here towards the end. The first part you're going to do is a hook. You can use this resource if you need any help with what a hook is. But basically, you're trying to grab the attention of the reader. So it's going to be the first sentence of the essay, which means it's going to be like your first impression. So you can use a quote that's interesting. You can use an actual interesting fact. You can tell a story. You can ask an intriguing question. You can really do anything. It just has to be on topic. So an example of this could be, you could use an interesting fact if you think that like Miss Mikuleski and Miss Webster is guilty. If you think that they did it together, so maybe your interesting fact you look up is how many murders are committed by like 2 people, or what's the rate of the people that are actually like convicted that like they both were involved in the crime, something like that. Maybe the interesting fact has to do with like criminal duos. I don't know. So like you could look up some famous duos that have done like crimes together, things like that. You could also tell the story, so really like in a very entertaining way, outline like what the backstory of this whole thing is. Or it could be an intriguing question. So a question automatically gets the reader to start thinking about the answer, whether they want to or not. So think about an interesting question that you could ask them that can make the reader think about the answer. The second part of the introduction paragraph is the bridge or the background information. So the bridge connects the hook to the thesis. So it's basically anything that the reader needs to know before they start reading the essay. So what I would do is I would actually go to the background information for um, this particular story and figure out like the who, what, when, where, why, and how of that. And then I would put it in 2 to 3 sentences right here. The thesis is quite simply the last part of the introduction paragraph, and so the introduction paragraph basically says, here's why you should be interested in this, or this is super interesting. Here's what you need to know before you read, and here's what you're going to believe at the end, or what you're going to agree with at the end. So the thesis is the claim because reason 1, 2, and 3. So we already have that, so we can copy and paste that down here. The conclusion is the last part of the essay. So you click on here, you can find a transition word or phrase that basically means that you're going to be ending the essay, or that it's the end of the essay. So you could use like to summarize, to conclude, in conclusion, to sum up, any of those. Then you put the thesis again, so you can copy and paste it right down here. And then the last 2 to 3 sentences of the essay basically are you summarizing the main points of your essay. So not necessarily your reasons, because you already have your reasons, but talk about your evidence again that was important, and talk about your explanation. So make those connections again for them. So this is essentially wrapping it up for the reader. Here's everything that they need to know, like in one paragraph at the end of the essay. If you guys have any questions about this, please do not hesitate to ask.